Go back to where you came from. That's what somebody told me under one of my videos. Or more specifically, he said, go back to your roots, because he thought that this Jesus figure was not part of my roots, my heritage as a black man, as a Haitian man, as an African descent, and that I should repudiate this Christ and go find another religion that is from Africa. And so I decided I should probably answer that, especially today, which is Wednesday of the third week of Advent, where the first reading comes from Isaiah 45, where God shows us how he is the supreme being that created everything. I'll get to that point. Now, before I go any more deeply into this, it's important to notice that there is what's called a cultural relativism that is projected there, as if the truth was determined or were determined by the culture from which it comes. That is what we called a genetic fallacy. In other words, it's an error that is committed when, instead of considering the content of an argument, we try to disprove it by where it comes from. That is stupid, excuse my language, okay? Where an argument comes from or from whom it comes has no bearing on the truth claim. And so if you want to disprove its truth claim, you have to consider the premises and to see if the conclusion follows, to see if the argument is valid, and then if it is sound. And so let us not commit the genetic fallacy as to, something is true if it comes from a certain place, or it's false if it comes from a certain place. That's just bogus. Now, I could also come back and hit that argument with what's a true argument, which is the argumentum ad absurdum, an argument to absurdity, to show that position, if it is taken to its ultimate end, it will lead to absurdity. Because if it is true that cultures are what determine the truth, then what about a culture where, for example, the Nazis, let's say they had won the war and they had created their own empire and therefore their own racist culture, anti-Semitic culture, would that be a true culture? Would all of it be true? No. What about a culture that is racist? Would we tell people you should really go back to your roots, to your culture? No, that's stupid. Okay, just because something is in a culture does not mean it is absolutely true. And there is a truth that can transcend these cultures without removing anything that is good in culture. Now, when somebody tells me to go back to my roots as a black man, I have to consider which roots, right? Because I have different roots. I have my Haitian roots. I've got my African roots. I've got my human roots. But I've also got my definitive or divine roots, right? The roots of all things that exist, not just humanity, but all of creation. There is a root for all of those, and that is the supreme being, God himself, who revealed himself in Jesus Christ, who proved the supreme being and who proved his status through his life, his death, and resurrection, an event that is both spiritual and historical. And in fact, the majority of historians, of New Testament scholars, for example, that study this question of the resurrection, they have, the majority of them have come to agree on certain facts about around the resurrection. For example, the death of Jesus, right? That Jesus was killed by crucifixion. That is pretty much almost unanimous amongst the historians. Now, you'll hear people on the internet talk about Jesus being a myth, Jesus didn't exist or whatever, but these are all popular level apologetics, anti-Christian apologetics. But the true historians, you're not going to find a lot of them that claim these things. The true university professors that teach and study history for real, they're not going to be claiming that stuff, because that is very low-level stuff that is very popular, unfortunately. Okay. The second point that the majority of them would agree on is the empty tomb, that the tomb where Jesus was buried, the tomb of Joseph of Arimathea, was found empty on the third day. That's significant because, he was killed, he was buried there, but it's empty. But now, without the third point, anything could have happened to that body. The third point is what we call the post-mortem appearances of Jesus. Yes, Jesus appearing after his death, post-mortem, not only to his disciples, his friends, but also to skeptics and even enemies. And Paul would cite those people and say, at some point, there was 500 people that saw him at a particular point. You don't have to take my word for it. I recommend the Handbook of Christian Apologetics by Dr. Peter Crift and Father Ronald Ticelli, and other wonderful books by Dr. William Lane Craig, for example, or the good Anglican bishop, I forget his name, N.T. Wright, and their works on the resurrection. Go ahead, look it up. Study the history of the thing before repeating the popular level stuff from the internet. Now, so Jesus proved his status as the divine Son of God who came to reveal God to us, the God that created all of us, black, white, Asian, European, whatever. This God is our Father. He's our Creator, right? Now, Jesus, he takes me back to my roots, which is the other awesome point. He does not take me away from my true roots, right? As a Haitian, Jesus took me back to Haiti. I didn't grow up in Haiti, but Jesus took me back home in order to be with my people and serve my people. And that is a call of Jesus himself. See, Jesus integrates my Haitianness to him. He integrates my Africanness. He integrates my manhood. He integrates everything about me that is true, good, and beautiful to himself, to the universal body, to his transcendent body. Hello? Jesus doesn't take away my Haitianness. He amplifies my Haitianness. He gives it even more value in him. My Africanness, my blackness is not taken away, but is valued, honored, and integrated into Jesus himself, into the Godhead. He didn't repudiate his humanity when he went up to heaven. He took all of us with him, all of our humanity with him in his body to heaven. Philippians 4:8 tells us, finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is gracious, if there is any excellence and if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things. So you see, Jesus takes nothing good away. He integrates all of the good things in him. John Paul II, I love what he said on the 7th of December in 1990 in his encyclical letter, Redemptor Missio, the mission of the Redeemer. In number 3, he says, peoples everywhere open the doors to Christ. His gospel in no way detracts from man's freedom, from the respect that is owed to every culture and to whatever is good in each religion. By accepting Christ, you open yourselves to the definitive word of God, to the one in whom God has made himself fully known and has shown us the path to himself. So what the Jew is looking for, he has found us. What the Muslim friends are looking for, he has found us. What the Africans, the Europeans, the blacks, the whites, the Asians, and everybody, what they're looking for in the different religions and the different expressions of culture, the one for whom they are searching, that one has come to us and has found us. And his name is Jesus.